Well, today is the day that we head off to Greenland, but before that we make a quick pit stop at the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is really a beautiful place. You can just sit there, relax, put some mask on your face as you enjoy the beautiful volcanic landscape. After the hot springs, it is now time to head to Greenland. The day that we left for Greenland, it was incredibly rainy and windy. So when I had to run off to the plane, it was as if the wind was going to blow me right over. Despite the weather, Greenland Air was the best airline I've ever traveled with. They were so nice and they kept bringing you food after beverage. We landed in Nuuk that evening. And for the rest of my stay in Greenland, I lived right beside the Science Institute. The following day, I checked out the city Nuuk with Anne, and to start off our tour, we started at the University of Greenland, which currently has about 100 students. And as you can see, when you're studying, you have probably the best view. The best view of the town Nuuk. It's a little bit rainy today, but we have our rain gear on, so it should be alright. But, so I'll show you, here's the view here. And here I am with Anne.
Well, my name is Anne. I also work at the Natural Institute of Climate and Research Center. I work with archaeology and anthropology and natural science, combining all the different disciplines. And I'm showing Nicole around today.
I was extremely fortunate to spend a lot of my time in Greenland with Anne. She's been living in Greenland for about 6 years now, and I learned so much from her.
Standing up on the top of the hill is Hans Ede, who colonized Greenland in 1721. And when he came here, he wanted to Christianize the Greenlandic, and he was very, very strict. So people, they were not allowed to keep some of their old religion, and they had to go to church, and people had to move to the colony. Otherwise they would be seen as outcasts. But later on there came the German Christian church, and they were called Herrnhuterne. They were a little different. They would usually settle out of the fjord in areas where there are a lot of Inuit. They would move out to the people, and their way of having ceremonies would be with music and singing, which was much different from Hans Ede, the way that they went to church there. So that way of going to church was very popular for the Greenlandic people.
Anne and I spent the day walking around town, checking out the museums. We also ate Greenlandic tapas for lunch. Cod, reindeer, smoked salmon, shrimp, and some dried cod, is it? Yeah. In downtown Nuuk, the language that you will hear is Danish, although they also teach Greenlandic in the school system. My favorite part of Nuuk was the colorful houses in the older section of town. These houses came from Norway and Denmark as kind of ready-made houses for the Greenlandic people. The colorful houses used to signify people's occupations. Say if the hospital was painted blue, the people who worked in the hospital would also have blue houses. Later that night, I went over to Anne's house for supper and she prepared some reindeer ribs. Despite the rainy weather in Nuuk, I still had a really good time walking around. So stay tuned for my next video, when I head off on a boat with some science researchers.